Is your iPhone at risk? Whoa. The TLDR is no. No, your iPhone is not at risk unless you meet very specific criteria. But let me, the resident Gwen Stacy fangirl and iPhone fangirl, explain why Huge Jeffries made a huge mistake with his hugely click. He basically stretched the truth. Let's put it that way, right? Okay. So, wow, blue background, but I gotta keep my Gwen Stacy pink iPhone because it's funny. So I'm gonna put like a thing on screen over there. I could actually see it myself already, but I'll have to edit it in because I'm not gonna show my Edge browser. Edge is best browser, by the way. Um, Essentially, this is the activation ticket, like the token, um, that is involved in making sure that an iPhone or iPad or iOS device in general, iPad OS, iOS, whatever, close enough, right? These are the details that it needs, right? Now, if you happen to be reading that instead of listening to what I'm saying, yes, you can see that it requires a specific version, a specific device, like iPhone 2.1 is what the iPhone the it was the iPhone wiki, it's now the Apple wiki. Anyway, that's their example, right? And so it also requires IMEI. Now, what does all this mean? Well, Huge Jeffries made a huge implication that, well, you can just steal anyone's serial and MAC addresses and activate it all willy-nilly. However, the problem is, no, it's not quite that simple. So, if you spent any time in the Hackintoshing community or looking into hacktivation for iOS devices, um, or just been in jailbreaking in general, right? You would know that actually, um, for a serial to be able to do anything for a particular device, it needs to match the device that you're reporting. So, for example, you can't just, to the best of my knowledge, if someone proves me wrong, please do prove me wrong if you have the evidence to back it off, because I'm working off of, my knowledge of how this stuff works and like reading some some wikis and all that and being involved in the space. But essentially, you cannot take an iPhone 15 Pro Max serial and MAC addresses and all that and activate an iPhone 10 with that information because, funnily enough, an iPhone 15 Pro Max is not in fact an iPhone 10. Now, the other wrinkle to this is that the baseband is a little bit different, and to the best of my knowledge, that has been a big sore point for the people in the Hacktivation or Setup app um, community, because you can't really get around the baseband being burned into a chip in the phone, right? Like it's if you have a device that is essentially reported stolen in your particular country and the IMEI is blacklisted, then you're kind of screwed. So yeah, you can't just activate an iPhone 10 with full functionality on the latest iOS that it supports and then steal the serial from a modern iPhone. The other wrinkle to it is that the serial and MAC address and all that would need to be attached to something that isn't already activated and tied to someone's account. So, for example, if I were to be using my iPhone 10 and not be logged into an iCloud account and have Find My enabled, then the problem is someone could theoretically steal it for their own iPhone 10 that they want to activate. However, there are other ways to activate beyond just changing the serial and all that, right? If you have a device that is vulnerable to checkmate to the point where you can change these values. You can also just patch the particular process that enables the activation. I think lockdown D is what it is. Um, and you can also just in some older iOS versions you can delete setup.app, which is the uh, the application that guides you through setup. There are other bypasses, and this is a very niche thing. Like the whole thing about changing the serial and all is more of a theft thing rather than particularly a hacktivation thing. And Hugh Jeffries makes a big deal out of something when it demonstrably is not an issue for the vast majority of people with iPhones, since they don't go out of their way to disable Find My. They just have it enabled. So the only people that are affected by this are, I guess, maybe some privacy conscious people that still have iPhones or other Apple devices and don't sign in to Find My, as well as collectors of brand new unboxed and like sealed devices. And if you're one of those people, then you know you're inherently taking a risk by doing that. In the former case, you know that the anti theft feature is, well, not going to be as good for anti-theft, which it kind of already wasn't as good for anti-theft because you'd have to be using a checkmate vulnerable device, which is an iPhone 10 or older. And the latter case, it's like you're taking a risk because you can't guarantee that it actually is brand new in box, regardless of whether someone has stolen the serial and all that. So yeah, hopefully, well, I mean, I'm not gonna say hopefully this gets as many views as Hugh Jeffries' clickbait, because what's the dude, Mark Twain maybe? I'll put the proper sourcing on screen, but there's that quote of like, a lie can make its way around the world before the truth has even tied its laces, right? And this is very much a case of that, because yeah, I'm not going to get as many views as Hugh Jeffries on my correction video, and that's okay because, well, it's not okay. But it's okay because I'm not making this for views. I'm making this because I'm very frustrated and I wish he would just stick to the facts, of which there are many. Goodbye.